Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm King Sway,
I'm Princess Gamer.
and today we have another kill count. Uh, Princess Sway is the one that wants me to keep doing kill counts, so Princess get what Princess want. This is The Invisible Man from 1933, and this is the newest one, if I remember correctly, as far as kill counts go, from the Dead Meat channel. So
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at The Invisible Man, released in 1933. Based on the 1897 book by H.G. Wells, with elements of the 1931 Philip Wiley book, The Murderer Invisible, The Invisible Man was one of Universal's OG horror films, directed by the same man who had helmed Frankenstein 2 years earlier, James Whale. Just like with Frankenstein, The Invisible Man is a story of science gone wrong, with a scientist fleeing from his fiancée to do mad experiments in isolation. Dr. Jack Griffin is a man who has discovered how to turn himself invisible, and though he
Yes.
can't quite figure out a way to reverse the process,
That
he's
sucks.
happy to be unseen, for it will give him the opportunity to seize power. Unlimited power! The Invisible Man would, like all the Universal monster movies, spawn a whole damn franchise. He'd make a
The
return
Invisible
in
Woman.
1940, the same year that a woman became invisible. He'd become a wartime agent in 1942. He'd have his revenge in 1944, and he'd hang out with Abbott and Costello in 1951. Though it's worth noting, the Invisible Man in these movies is an entirely different character each time. I won't be covering those sequels anytime soon, but on Sunday, I will be looking at the latest installment in the franchise, the modern adaptation by Lee Winnell, which was also the last film I saw in a theater in the before times. Before I
Before
cover
times.
that though, I thought we should take a look at the original film to see where this story began. How many kills can there be in a movie made 87 years ago? Well,
A lot.
you might be surprised.
they had a lot of kills and stuff like that. Like if I remember correctly,
The
especially
movie begins
Frankenstein.
in a snowstorm just outside of Iping, or Toiping. Iping's Lion's Head Tavern is a happening place, full of laughter and music and smoking, so much smoking. But the good times are interrupted
Yeah, it
by
was-
the stark
it
and
was like
snowy
that before they
entrance
passed
of a
that no
figure
smoking
with a
law.
bandaged face.
I want a room and a fire.
He's given his room and a fire by the
What was it?
tavern's co-owner, Jenny Hall, played with all the gusto in the world by Una O'Connor, a
That was like
talented
12 years ago?
Irish actor who spent 2 decades performing on stage before transitioning to
alive.
film as a character actor. You can tell she has a theater background by her very specific physical
Yeah.
acting. Jenny
I was just
tries
about
her
to say
best
that
to make
she
Griff
does
comfortable,
everything
but
elaborately
he
with
brusquely brushes her
yeah.
off when she asks to take his coat.
I used to do
No.
theater back in the day.
Una O'Connor was
Small
the original
stint.
dramatic
Sh-
chipmunk.
small stink, but yeah.
Jenny later walks in on him and sees his bandaged head, which fuels suspicion among the barflies about where this unknown stranger came from. The mouthless mystery man comes from a land of science, but he's been away for an entire month now, much to the chagrin of his fiancée Flora Cranley, a character added by screenwriter R.C. Sheriff as he adapted Wells's novel. Flora's played by Gloria Stewart, who was an environmentalist, a co-founder of the Hollywood Anti-Nazi League, and, oh yeah, Old Rose and Ty frickin' Tannick. Holy shit!
23 years ago.
Her father and Griffin's boss is Dr. Cranley, an early film role for Henry Travers, who would go on to play the guardian angel Clarence in It's a Wonderful Life. He tells his daughter not to worry too much about Griffin's whereabouts. After all, scientists will be scientists. She leaves her dad's office and goes to another part of the film set where she's followed by the camera and this dude, Dr. Kemp. She tells Kemp, who is one of Griffin's peers, that she's not used to her fiance leaving her in the dark like this.
He was always so keen to tell me about his experiments.
Kemp says that Griffin has always scienced to the beat of his own beaker, and since he ran off on her, how about you get with me and my mustache?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
baby.
leave me alone.
Is that a oh, no.
Back up,
that's
chick,
a no.
or back up, dude.
I wonder if I made it worse. Griffin's trying to find a way to uninvisi himself, but it's hard to get any science done.
You seem
Ladies
confused.
keep trying to bring you tea. I don't want tea, lady. God!
She keeps trying to go into his
Don't
room.
take it
Like,
personally.
leave him alone.
He's
Hell.
just more of a lemonade guy, except when there's too much sugar in it. To hell with ye calories! Jenny's husband Herbert tells Griffin that he needs to get the fuck out of this room, because he's turned it into a science lab, and also, like, he hasn't paid for it in weeks. Griffin needs more time, though, and pleads to Herbert to let him stay, though the tavern owner is resolute.
I beg of you.
The wife says if you don't go, she is, so it's got to be you.
But Jack Griffin is a bit of a nasty man, so he assaults Herbert when he tries to touch his stuff.
Bang,
Throws
bang,
him down
book,
his own damn
bang.
staircase. Yo, y'all need to go get the cops. And please get the most stereotypical
nun
one
in the
you
background.
can find.
What's all this?
That is fucking perfect. Thank you. Constable Jaffers walks into the tavern and takes out his best beating stick. But hey, no kids at the beating. This is adult stuff. He enters Griffin's room with another "what's all this?" and tells Griffin that he's here to arrest him for throwing Herbert down the stairs. Cause that's assault, brother. Griffin responds by saying they about to get their asses whooped.
All right, you fools. You brought it on yourselves.
Oh shit, who the fuck is this guy?
You're crazy to know who I am, aren't you?
It's like he knew. Jack Griffin is played by English actor Claude Rains in his American film debut. Prior to this role, he had been a stage actor in England after rising to the rank of captain serving in World War I. Though other actors were considered for the role, including Boris Karloff, who played Frankenstein's monster, and Colin Clive, who played Dr. Frankenstein, Rains was director James Whale's first choice because of his powerful voice. After all, without any facial expressions being shown, the character's
Yeah,
emotions
you gotta
had
project
to be
everything through
conveyed
your voice.
entirely through his voice and physical gestures. Griffin starts to remove his bandages while laughing maniacally, because if it's two things Jack Griffin knows how to do, it's be an asshole and laugh real loud. Luckily, Constable Jaffer's the kind of guy who can figure out even the most difficult of mysteries.
He's invisible. That's what's the matter with him.
When they go back to his room, they find Griffin nothing but a shirt. And after a pretty fun proto-Scooby-Doo chase, he strips to his invisible birthday suit and tells them exactly how he got this way.
A few chemicals mixed together, that's all.
Oh, that's all. Just, chemicals. Griffin's disembodied
Chemicals.
voice
They
says
give you
that
the power
as
of
an
invisibility.
man, he's gonna
They give you
rule
the power
world,
of, the
robbing,
Speed Force.
raping, and killing as he
radiation.
pleases. And he'll start his crime spree by strangling Constable Jaffers to unconsciousness, but not death. He then leaves the tavern in a memorable sequence where a whole bunch of extras do a great job selling his invisible presence. And sure, in HD you can see the strings on that bike, but this is still really fun stuff.
No, I'm about to say,
And
this-
just
he
more
said the movie
evidence
itself
that
was 87
Griffin's a
years ago.
total
Come on now.
asshole. Put that broom down, brah. Don't knock over a baby. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Back in
that's a
Science
dick move.
Land, Doctors Cranley and Kemp search Griffin's office for clues as to what he's been up to, and it's there that they find a list of chemicals.
And the last on the list is monocaine. Monocaine?
Monocaine! Cranley says monocaine is a hell of a drug. It draws color out of things, and when it was tested on a dog, it made it turn white and crazy. That explains why Griffin's been wilding out so much. That night, Griff sneaks into Kemp's place to wild out some more, but maybe that guy deserves it. Keeping a
He says
picture
wild
of
out, he said
Griffin's
wild out.
fiancée on his mantle. You creepy, Kemp. Griffin turns
Oh,
off Kemp's
no, dude.
radio
Yeah, no,
and
you
begins
can catch it for
talking
that
to
one.
him, impressing his peer and the audience, most of all when he sits his invisible ass in Kemp's rocking chair. With a log on the fire and the threat of a beatdown, Griffin gets Kemp to sit down and give him a cigarette. Guys, this movie is from 1933, the friggin' New Deal era. This must have blown people's goddamn minds.
Yeah.
Even this shot of Griffin in Kemp's pajamas, while a little shaky, is impressive for the time. This movie's groundbreaking special effects were done by John P. Fulton. While a lot of them were done with simple wire effects, the stuff involving an invisible Griffin wearing clothes required a more sophisticated approach. To that end, they wrapped Claude Rains' skin in black velvet and filmed his actions against a black velvet background.
So
They
you
would
couldn't see
then
him.
combine that shot with a shot of the empty set, removing all the black through a screening process that I don't entirely understand. Another effect later required getting a mold of Rains' head, which was extra uncomfortable for him because of an experience he had in the war.
He had been gassed during the war, and this process
was awful to him.
Griffin puts on his finest pimp attire and struts downstairs
He
to
said
tell
pimp
Kemp
attire.
what's what as soon as he's done serving Lewis. He sits across from Kemp and gives us his story. He's been working on invisibility for 5 years now, and what started as mere scientific inquiry turned into an obsession when he realized he could rule the world this way. Griffin's megalomania wasn't as prominent in the original Wells novel. That's something that Sheriff took from The Murderer Invisible. In Wells's book, Griffin is less a mad scientist and more a political revolutionary, which is not surprising given Wells's own outspoken proclivities. What's wild to me, though, is that H.G. Wells was still alive when this movie came out. That's how old this thing is. Here he is with Carl Laemmle Sr., founder of Universal Pictures and father of this movie's producer, Carl Laemmle Jr. Since he still hasn't figured out the whole Control-Z part of this superpower, Griffin demands that Kemp become the visible half of a two-man
Control-Z.
partnership in crime.
That's funny.
We'll begin with a reign of terror.
On the computer, Control-Z undoes the last
But
action.
Kemp refuses to go along with murder.
Do you want me to take these off?
I do special
No, no.
effects and whatnot, so when you cut and paste and
Never mind.
edit,
I guess he's
yeah.
in. So now he can drive Griffin's
Come on now,
freezing
I'm editing this
invisible
one.
Assicle to go get his science books from the Lion's Head Tavern. At the tavern,
The only thing
the
I
chief
really edit is
detective has
pictures.
taken over the case from Jaffa,
probably the artist.
and he thinks the story is one big hoax brought on by imagination and inebriation. Griffin has Kemp wait outside the tavern
gotcha.
as he sneaks his way back inside the building and his room, where he collects his books. After very gingerly opening the curtains and windows, he drops them down to Kemp outside. Right as the detective's about to write this whole thing off,
I shall announce this evening that the whole thing's a hoax, and you'll be the laughing stock of the entire country.
Griffin
And then
goofs
choke
him
him.
well enough to get a close-up reaction. Jenny acts like there's an invisible mouse as Griffin shoves a friggin' pitcher at her head and just causes a general ruckus. It clears the place out of everyone but the chief detective, who is killed by Griffin via strangulation and a
Didn't I tell you? Oh,
blackout.
damn!
Fucking table actually hit that dude in the face, for real, I think. Oh man. And Griffin ain't even sorry about that ish.
Killed a stupid little policeman. Smashed his head in.
Jesus, that's cold, Griffin. And Jesus, that's cool, Griffin. Sitting there having tea time while you discuss the shortcomings
Damn,
of being
dude.
invisible.
In a fog, you can see me, like a bubble.
Ah, yeah, you would look like something in the mist. After giving Kemp his list of rules, he sends the guy out of his own damn guest room so he can get ready for bed. Nothing like unwrapping your face after a long day of murder and snuggling up into your blankets. I think we can all relate. Special effects artist John Fulton called that mirror shot the most difficult one he'd ever done. They had to combine 4 separate shots for it. One of Griffin's back as he's unwrapping his head, one of the room that he's sitting in for that shot, one of Griffin's front in the reflection of the mirror, and finally, one of the background in the reflection. Damn impressive work. With the chief detective dead, Griffin is a wanted man, so a bunch of biker cops are scrambled and public broadcasts are put out that warn everyone about the Invisibastard. If you see something, say something, folks. Shit, wait a minute. Everyone listens and does their best to
Can't
keep
really
their
see in
houses
this one.
safe from
Yeah,
Griffin and
yeah.
their zombies. As Griffin sleeps, Kemp calls up Cranley and tells him about his situation, and Cranley admits to his daughter that, yeah, about that invisible madman the news keeps talking about, it's your fiance, womp womp. Kemp then calls a very laid-back cop and tells him Griffin is at his house, so will they please come and help him now, please? Griffin wakes up and asks Kemp why he's in his office. Come on, Kemp, don't be trying no shit. After all,
We're partners. Bosom friends.
bosom friends to the very end.
Heidi ho.
They see Dr. Cranley and Flora arriving, and Griffin,
This is
quite
the end,
surprised, admits
friend.
that he nearly forgot about the existence of his dear fiancée. Kemp lets them in, and Flora goes to meet Griffin alone.
How wonderful it is to see you.
Wish I could say the same, partner. Griffin tells Flora that he did all this for her. Their marriage would be so much better if he were a famous scientist who could sell his famous science.
The nations of the world would bid for it, thousands, millions.
Okay there, dude. Maybe take it down a notch. Flora wants Griffin to find a way to be visible again so they can live a happy life together. But Griffin just keeps talking about how he wants people to grovel at his feet.
Grovel at my feet.
You're gonna have to face the facts that you might just have different life goals here. And you better figure your shit out fast, because the Popos just arrived, thanks to Kemp's earlier phone call. Jack Griffin will remember that. Griffin tells Flora he'll come back for her, but
From the
he's
Telltale
really
games.
gotta get the fuck out of here right now. So bye.
Like, The Walking
Life's
Dead,
gone. Time to
Batman,
strip. Invisible again.
The
Griffin
Wolf Among
berates
Us.
Kemp for his betrayal.
Yes, I've played
Promises
those.
that he'll kill him tomorrow at 10 o'clock. The cops circle the house and Red Rover their way
Sway
over.
Rum
but their
Games
best
is my gaming
efforts are
channel.
bested
I've
by a
actually
bunch
played,
of invisible schoolhouse pranks. Aw, poor Officer
Walking
Chris
Dead 2.
Maverick. Griffin enacts some Invisi-chaos and steals a cop's pants before getting away from the police.
He threw the whole
Chases
dude.
a random woman down the road while singing schoolyard songs.
Here we go gathering nuts in May, nuts in May, nuts in May. Here we go gathering nuts in
It's
May on a cold
mistaken
and
for me.
frosty morning. Whoops!
The police, rightfully
I ain't gonna lie, I'd probably do
embarrassed,
something like
spoke to
that.
Captain Friendly and learn that the
Probably.
Invisible Man is Jack Griffin. Too bad a name ain't gonna help these search parties, and it ain't gonna save anyone that Griffin sets out to kill. No longer from mere strangulation, but by throwing them off a cliff. He gets two dudes that way, goddamn. Then, I hope you big
How you
numbers
gonna
were
stop him? You
watching.
can't see him.
Griffin
I was-
knocks
yeah.
out a train dude and fucks with some levers in order to crash an entire train of people.
Holy, he
killing them
killed
and
100
sending the train off a cliff. The number of casualties, 100 even, comes from a dude's line a little bit later.
And 100 in the train disaster.
In the interest of transparency, that guy also mentions 20 search party people killed,
The 20 men of the search parties have been killed.
but we only saw those two dudes thrown off the cliff. I'm not gonna count reported deaths that we didn't witness of characters who we never met. Oh, but peep the reporter in this scene. He's played by an uncredited Dwight Fry, who was the hunchback assistant Fritz in Wales Frankenstein. With such a big head start on his murder stats, Griffin has time to play Robin Hood for a mo.
A present from the Invisible Man! Money! Money!
And he, really gets into it.
Money, 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 money!
Oh shit, is Shane O'Mac in the house? The police, who are trying to figure out a way to capture Griffin, need to make sure he's not in the room listening to them, so they landfish the entire place. With their nets coming up empty, these kids are ready for story time, and they gather round to hear the plan. Which is basically, don't let Kemp die. Kemp's given the weirdest friggin' police escort you could ever ask for as they take him through the streets and drive him out of town. Dressed as a police officer, Kemp hops in a car, ready to escape to the countryside before 10 o'clock, when Griffin had promised to kill him. A clock tower strikes the hour, giving him a false hope of success.
10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, he wanted to murder me.
I think this'll do nicely, Kemp. We'll stop here.
Yeah, Kemp done goofed by betraying Griffin, because much like the Countdown app, Griffin always keeps his murder appointments, and Kemp's time is up. Griffin strangles him with a scarf and ties up his hands and feet, but the biggest beating of all comes courtesy of Griffin's words.
Well, goodbye, Kemp. I always said you were a dirty little coward. You're a dirty, sneaking little rat as well. Goodbye.
With that, Griffin sends Kemp's car crashing off the cliff, killing him in a movie-only death since Kemp survives in the novel. Thanks for adding to my workload, movie. After the assassination, Griffin hides out and sleeps in a barn. Ah, the old John Wilkes booth. Ah. The barn's owner hears him snoring and goes to tell the police, who just got doubly lucky, because this sudden snowfall means they
Yeah,
can
it's
better
gonna,
track that naked invisible mofo. They get to the barn and surround it, then light fire to the structure so they can smoke him out. The plan works, and Griffin flees the burning bales of hay, and the cops watch as he makes footprints in the snow. With the help of their service weapons, he makes a body
Bang,
print
bang,
as
bang.
well. Those footprints in the snow were accomplished in a clever way. I believe the ground here is a platform covered in artificial snow, and then foot-shaped blocks of wood were dropped out from beneath it. Again, amazing work by Fulton.
They did
Even if
yeah.
technically, those footprints should look more like bare feet. Griffin is taken to the hospital, where his condition is described as totally fine. He's asking to see Flora, but first she's gotta know what she's getting into.
The effect of the drugs will die with him. His body will become visible as life goes.
Yo, that sounds dope. Let's see it. Flora's brought in, and after Griffin apologizes to her for meddling in super science, she gets to witness his reappearance. First, his skull becomes visible, and then, very slowly, his face is shown for the first time in the film as Jack Griffin dies. Shame, too. That Claude Rains is a handsome feller. How many people did Jack Griffin kill? Let's find out, and... oh my god, it's a ghost!
Here we go off to the gills today, gills today, gills today. Here we go off to the gills today as we all run off to the numbers. Whoops.
That's funny.
105 people died in The Invisible Man, which is a big number, but still doesn't put it in the top 5 highest kill counts. The victims were 5 dudes and 100 unidentified people on a train, so hope you like your pie charts extra crunchy. A lot of gears in there. With a runtime of 72 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 41.14 seconds. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to the train crash. I mean, Griffin crashed a whole friggin' train. That's some wild shit. Dome machete for lamest kill will go to the chief detective, I guess.
Strangled him.
Even though it probably gave the actor a black eye. And that's it. The Invisible Man came out in 1933 and was one of Universal's biggest movies of the year. I'll look at Lee Winnell's 2020.
All the work they did
Sunday,
in it.
But until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching this Kill Count. I want to thank some patrons like the Sticky Situations brand, Mr.
All the work they did in that show, and this was 87 years ago. They did a lot of work, and it shows, and it's
HMUA, Aldo Peets, and Salvatore
exactly. That's
Band. Hope I pronounced
Especially for
those
that time of
right-ish.
night.
Don't think
Yes.
that movies can't be funny or good just because they're old. Thanks everyone. Be good people.
As like it.
yeah, that was. I'm still reeling over how old it was, and then all the, like I said, all the effort they put into it, and they didn't even have little green screen back there, but they made green screen, like how they used the black and to shadow him and everything, and he was like, gotcha, just, and then when he said they had the footprints and just dropped it out, they did a lot of work. I do my own films and stuff like that, so I appreciate all the, before I started being a YouTuber and shooting my own stuff, I would have been like, yeah, okay, that's cool. But now that I do my own work in YouTube and everything, and the work I put into it, and then somebody shows me I appreciate that so much more now.
Because you realize how hard they actually work, and how hard it can be to get the result that you want or need.
Yes.
Like, I didn't realize how hard editing could be until my 5th grade year in school, because I had photojournalism, and we had to edit a bunch of photos for that. And since it was my first time, it took like a long time to get used to it and figure out how to do stuff.
Yeah.
And then once I did get used to it and know how to do it, it was still kind of hard to get the result that I needed
because
and wanted.
All the work y'all put into it, and it's time consuming.
It is.
But that's our reactions to it. I'm King Sway.
I'm Princess Gamer.
And I'm going to see you in the next one.
Bye.